The tough guy of the moment starts in bed. And by the black leather outfit on the bed, next to him, you already know that the first victim has fallen. He wakes up all twisted up there. Wow, because I'm in a hotel. Why am I not in my bed? Looking to the side, he wonders, what is this wild and wonderful girl doing here? My night was also wild. Just then, a certain Saoya calls her phone. And he quickly remembers that this is the girl who rejected him when he was still a freshman in college. And the girl is there. Hey, why don't you say anything? You think you're very attractive, huh? You're not angry. I'm going to destroy you. The protagonist is completely confused. What's going on with this crazy girl? She had blocked him on WhatsApp, so because he's talking like they still see each other. He decides to take a look at his phone, and soon sees that the date was in the past, right? The famous reincarnation. This poem is about Zhang Qing. You're too slow with gifts. And that's why you don't deserve the love I have to offer you. Now go away because you're making this situation weird. The protagonist almost joins the group of bald people pulling his hair out of rage. He thought that she loved him, and that they would be together forever. However, now back on the scene, he is receiving the messages he was already expecting. As always, she asked for gifts with the same dramas. At that time he was blinded by love, and did not even respect himself. But now in this life it will be respected. And with that he already says, Zhao Jia, we're done. She, confused, wants to know, Ching. What are you talking about, kid? Do you think you're going to break up with me? He replies, are you going crazy? I can break up with you whenever I want. Goodbye. He wants her to know why, saying she better give him a reason or he'll get mad. The protagonist only says that they are not compatible. That's all. Goodbye. However, she is sure that he will come back begging for forgiveness later, and that it is better that she does not cry at his feet. Oh wow. The protagonist reveals that in his past life, she was unfaithful to him twice. Poor kid, he really was a cuckold. Then the real protagonist of the story appears, right? The famous system. The protagonist is looking up with the face of someone abandoned in a supermarket by his father, wanting to know what all this is about. He gets up to take a look. We see that the tough guy is 18 years old and looks 85. Wow, life has already restarted. What else did he need? But now you will still earn 0.10 cents per second, or $8,000 a day. The tough guy gets excited to see that clearly the system pays per second. You won't have to do anything. In addition, he receives a starter kit, and when he decides to open it, a yellow brick falls on the table. That's an initial 10 million. A car and the ability to scan people's friendships. The money part is kind of obvious, but he doesn't understand what that analyzing means. Hey artist, you used all your willpower to attack me with that white glitter. Get out of here, man. And the protagonist already puts this friendship analysis to the test. The name of the tough girl is Yuer Kong. Wow, what an ugly name. 25 years old, 1.5 meters tall, and looks 93. Man, we're starting out here with something high. Also, his friendship level is at 60, which is kind of normal. However, the protagonist does not understand what the value of privacy that is written there means. He decides to click to see what it is and finds out that it is the number of people that person has interacted with in his life. Wow, this is the dream of the red pills, right? And the protagonist is there confused. If that means the number of people he's been with and the number there was one, he was probably the first. Then we see him calling the silly Saoja at the bar, and obviously she doesn't answer the cuckold. Seriously, there's nothing left for the beta, but she found the tough girl they're crying to. They had both drunk quite a lot, and maybe that's why, even with the friendship down, they managed to score the goal. At this the girl wakes up confused and scared. Obviously not. There's a psychopath watching her like a dog watching a chicken at the market. And she asks why he's standing there like a weirdo. Was he regretting something or smiling? He turns around and says he was actually remembering what happened. She wants to know why she sighs then in the middle of the night. Go on talking about audacity, he says he regrets not having met her sooner. And strangely, the system grants him the quick tongue skill at the maximum level. It increases the strength of all the muscle cells in your tongue, and gives you unmatched flexibility and power. Apparently, we discovered the little system that PD had, and the kid decides to put his skills to the test right there. He's already used the strongest muscle in his body. And apparently it's a secret because the girl said he's really good at kissing. It's completely different. You guys start working on your languages. How are they going to train that? Good luck with that. At least, the protagonist has already had his breakfast, and sometime later wakes up in bed with money by his side. What's going on? He's just as confused as I am, isn't he? wondering if he was treated like a prostitute. The girl even left 10,000 and said the night was worth every penny. The protagonist thinks that this crazy girl had her first time with him, and he paid on top. He really wasn't in his right mind. Too bad he couldn't get her number. Then he sees that the critical card he won before has a chance to multiply what he spends between 1 and 50 times, as long as it is less than 100,000 Chinese coins, which is not much at all. The protagonist, however, is excited, as he was sent back to the past with this system. He wants to become a tycoon in this world. The good part is, because he is in the past, he knows of certain companies that will become prominent. And the first thing you need to do is gather enough fiat money to buy shares in those startups. Have you seen that bear that stands still in front of the water, waiting for the fish to pass by? This is the human equivalent. It's the attractive girl next to the fancy car, waiting for its owner to arrive. The protagonist is there thinking about real estate, making money and so on, when suddenly the huntress sends a kiss, asking if that's the handsome guy's car. The protagonist looks and says, "Man, the crazy one has arrived." He says yes. What's the matter? The girl is direct, and already asks if she can take her to a certain place that she urgently needs to get home. That's because in the application, it says that the pipes in your kitchen are all stuck. This one is direct. The protagonist activates the friendship scanner. He sees that his name is Chen Licky, but the girl's privacy is 28. Wow, even though friendship is 90, this girl is, let's say, approachable. Even the protagonist is surprised and confused by that 90% friendship. It was a bit too much to have known each other barely. He ignores it and gets into the car somewhat confused. And boy, then he really gives it back to her. He says 28 brothers have already unclogged their kitchen pipes, so you can call the next one next time. What the hell? He even leaves her in a cloud of smoke. The fool is there wanting to know how the hell does he know that he has 28 ex-boyfriends. She's all sad, saying that it's not every day you meet someone handsome with money. When an old man nearby listens to what he says, he's coming closer. "Oh miss, I heard he said he's having problems with his pipes. Let me introduce myself. I have 30 years of professional experience." However, she already tells the pervert to stay away from her. The old man is confused. "Wow, oh miss, that pretty boy couldn't fix his pipes. I can take care of that." Chiqui tells the guy to get away, that he is bothering her, while the guys around are laughing. The old man doesn't understand why, and one of them says, "Hey old man, you don't understand. It's not the pipes that are the problem, is it?" She wants other things to be revealed to her. He takes a look thinking, wow, today's youth really moves fast. Meanwhile, she kicked like an idiot, and now her shoe is broken. Meanwhile, our protagonist has already been to the real estate agency. He parked his fancy car, but the guy there was thinking, here come those guys who take their dad's car just for a walk, annoying everyone here. The protagonist gets out of the car like a Max Steel action figure in that pose. And the girl at the reception sees that the guy is watching, which means that she will have to deal with this alone. She was a little unsure, but introduces herself as Miss Xia and asks how she can help him. The protagonist asks for a bucket of French fries. Obviously not. The idiot is here to see houses, right? What else would I be doing in a real estate agency? She's being all nice, showing him everything, while the guy who had ignored her apologizes to the poor girl. This business world was cruel. And first, she had to learn how to filter customers. In this, she is showing him one of the houses that was one of the best and most compact. The price was quite reasonable, and it was one of the popular models. What do you think, sir? However, Jang tells him to ignore that one, as he is interested in those that cost close to $1 million. She starts looking around, saying she understands, but wants to know if he has any preferences. He says he wants those that are easy to rent. You don't want anything that isn't finished, and a good home renovation could work too. The protagonist already noticed by her hesitation that she seemed a little new in that place. Although the communication was basic, the good part is that she doesn't have sales tactics yet, so it all feels pretty sincere. Xia is 19 years old, he is 1.73 m and looks 90. Wow, everyone is 90 and 92 in body, right? This one's a little over the top. In addition, now the privacy that changed the companion of the past is 0. She is then showing some little houses to the guys, all between 800,000 and 1 million. The problem for Jang is that he knows that the critical hit system is not activated above 1 million, which means it had to be just below that. She asks if he wants any other options, while he tries to figure out how he can get several that are as close to 1 million as possible to secure the critical hit. In this, he asks if he can negotiate those properties that are close to 1 million. If she could reduce the price of each one to $1 million, he would pay all 5 right now live and direct. She is a little surprised that he is going to pay for everything at once. And he says yes, he's paying now, and he'll have her manage the 5 o'clock rent. The smart girl already knows that the commission plus what she would earn monthly for taking care of 5 houses would be worth a lot. So he says he'll do it right now. Meanwhile, the fool who decided to ignore him is there at the door hiding, wanting to know why this weird kid has so much money. An hour later, the manager appears saying that the 5 o'clock contract is done and that the girl will receive 2% commission. The protagonist says perfect, he trusts Shia to manage everything and will call her in the future for new purchases. The crafty girl is all enraptured because even with 2%, she would receive an absurd amount of money. In this, the critical hit is activated, and you obviously get a lot of 50 by 40 by multiplications. If I had bought the 800k ones, the total difference in multiplication would be huge. On top of that, he levels up for having spent some money, and now earns 0.8 yuan every second. The protagonist decides that if the system is going to reward that way, he will have to spend a little more. He immediately calls Shia saying he wants to have a chat with her. But he says this while she imagines he is telling her that this won't be the last time. The girl is biting her fingers. What capitalism doesn't do to the good worker, right? Oh, poor thing, there she is, suffering from delusions of mind, just to earn a little money. However, he is still hesitating. This girl is a stoic. He tells our protagonist that maybe not tonight, that they should get to know each other better. He, however, confused, wants to know what he is talking about. He's just asking for your bank account. She wants to know why, and he replies that she is the lucky star, and he wants the chance to see her again, other times. All this because he got the 50 over there, right? But obviously the poor thing is thinking something totally different. A few minutes later, he sent her another 35,000 Chinese yuan, and sent a K-pop dance with his hand on her head. I don't know what kind of a mess this is. The unfortunate girl brought him more than 200 million, so that's totally reasonable. The friendship has now gone up to 85. And the beast is showing the crew code. The head has changed, hasn't it? Now she's up for a little dinner tonight. And the protagonist notices it. A pic sent from 50 to 80. Clearly the world belongs to the rich. Exchange WhatsApp, and the crafty one is already crazy. Now imagining himself in the slaughterhouse, and thinking that maybe if it's today it won't be so fast. Meanwhile, the protagonist on the other hand, is already saying goodbye, saying that they will see each other again. However, she seems a little confused, doesn't she? She thought he'd invite her to something, but he's just in the car saying see you later. Wow, the protagonist is at home, he has a father and a mother. Oh, what a rarity in these stories. They've usually been dead for 15 years. The mother cut the watermelons for the fool, and the father wants to know why he didn't go to the school graduation trip. He says he wants to visit Shanghai because he is thinking about entering the university there. Wow, the father is generous. He just says it's okay then. He will transfer the money for the trip. While the mother tells her not to spoil the boy so much, or he will become a mommy's boy, and no girl will want him. The protagonist is thinking that it could have really affected him in his past life, that he was a fool, right? It was the beta. However, this time, he guarantees that he will get a good daughter-in-law. The next day we are on the plane, and the protagonist is sad because he bought economy class since all the seats were occupied. He is about to get into his seat, when suddenly he accidentally collides with someone. However, as always in these stories, there is a pretty girl everywhere. It is obvious that he is another victim. The name of this girl is Jo Jane, and our protagonist explains to her that this is her seat. She says it's a coincidence that she's close and one turns. And wow, my daughter is in diapers. What is that? The two are chatting when the famous beta appears, calling the charming maiden, and saying that it is an honor to travel with her. It's going to be an amazing trip. The protagonist had taken the window seat, but tells Chojun to stay there. However, the beta will not let this pass. He says, "Little brother, that seat is for the lady. You can't change seats like that on a plane." The protagonist, however, says that they are together, and does not have to give him any information. In the meantime, he sits down, but the VTuber fan doesn't stop, does he? He says, "Hey lady, are you going to Shanghai?" "We are not going." In the middle of the flight, he is going to jump out of the plane, open the parachute, and land somewhere else. He's not going to Shanghai, you idiot. She completely ignores poor beta and wants to know what Yang Cheng is going to do in Shanghai. She's going for work. He says it's nothing special, just a simple trip. She says it's great to take a vacation. The poor guy is just sitting in the corner, saying that he also spent a year in Shanghai, and knows that there are a lot of scammers there. It would be nice if you were careful not to fall into hotel traps. Besides, he says that he is staying in a very nice hotel where everything has already been prepared for him. And that if he wants, he can let her go there. However, clearly Xu Jing is just staring out the window, completely ignoring him. At this, Zhang Chen says, "Dude, you can relax, okay? I've already hired a taxi there, she's with me, so you don't need to worry." But Zhang Chen doesn't stop there, does he? Now he sees an opportunity to humiliate our guy and wants to know which hotel he is staying at. The protagonist says that in a place called Alman Jangyun. Immediately the guy gets scared. It seems that it is an extremely expensive resort to book. Immediately the guy says it's weird. If you are in such a good hotel, why did you come on this plane in economy class? He has also stayed at that place, and they don't usually pick you up at the airport. The protagonist says that he got a villa there and the guy seems a little surprised. Xu Jing knows that that costs about 80,000 per night. I didn't expect him to be so rich. He replies that he knows very well that she is actually much richer. That's because at school, she was not only famous, but also one of the most beautiful. And yes, everyone knew that every time she was picked up, it was in fancy cars. Besides, he was the kind that most guys didn't have the courage to look into the eyes of. However, she was always quiet, studying. But back then the protagonist only cared about Sauj, right? To be fooled, he really was a fool. And it looks like her family is having some problems because she said she's not that second-generation rich girl anymore. The protagonist notices that the atmosphere has become a little tense, decides to change the subject, and they start talking. Talk about school days. As soon as she gets distracted, she notices that the atmosphere is more relaxed and decides to review what matters. The girl's statistics: 18 years old, 1.72, 96 in appearance, 96 in body. Wow, these girls are already at the top of the scale. I want to know what 100 out of 100 means for the artist. And what impresses the protagonist is that he is already 75 in friendship. Maybe I was watching him at school, and he didn't know about it. That's a little strange. The boys arrive at the airport when suddenly, "Wow girl, did you come to meet him in that outfit? I think you're wearing the uniform of the wrong profession, but hey right. She is there to receive him. She will be your private driver today." The protagonist says that the Alman Yangyan Hotel is very professional. I see your professionalism already. So, our guy wants to know where Xu Jin will stay. And she says at a friend's house that's in the opposite direction, so it'll just take a while. Taxi. However, he says that in no way tells her to get in the taxi, and they will take her there. Meanwhile, Zhang Cheng is hiding there, angrily saying that such a beauty shouldn't suffer at the hands of such a scoundrel. A while later, they arrive at the place where Xu Jing will stay. And she asks for our guy's contact. He tells her not to forget the promise, and then scans the code. Apparently, Zhang Cheng was lurking around to find the time to humiliate the boy. But now that he's left her there, right? There's not much more I can do. Half an hour later, our protagonist is at home, thinking that it really was the perfect choice. He decides that he will take a shower when suddenly the beast arrives to help him. Confused, he asks if the service is complete. She turns around telling him to wake up to life, that she is only there to wash his back. It still seems a little strange to you, doesn't it? He goes to say that it wasn't really necessary, but she with her little glove, keeps telling him to come closer. That this is part of the treatment. The rogue has already sat there, hasn't he? Thinking that it was really comfortable. Not to mention that his appearance was very good. If there were special services, he would never complain. Imagination flies, doesn't it? You can already imagine that she will offer you these so-called additional services. She asks why she seems to be burning up. The water temperature was too high, while he just wants to understand how to stay calm in this situation. He tells her to tell him a little about her routine to help him relax. And she says that tonight there will be a reception for a VIP event, and she wants to know if he wants to participate. He asks what the reason is and she says that some platinum members are auctioning some jewelry. He wants to know if there are any special clothes, and she answers no. You just have to go, nothing too fancy. At that moment, we see her arrive with our guy, and say that he is in the Titanium Village. So you have to respect the boy. She says goodbye to our guy, telling him to have fun, and leaves. Wow, they didn't really take the victim down. We didn't even know the name or the friendship. What is that? Tell us about it. Walking down the NPC aisle, he sees a bunch of people there talking about 5 million, 4 million, the auction is on. Rolex gold watch, everyone excited, shouting, making offers. And the protagonist who comes from the future knows that the price is going to go up a lot, so he steps in and offers 15.5 million. However, the crowd is not going to let it pass easily. Someone else raises it to 16, 17, 18. People are impressed that the 35-year-old guy, our protagonist, really came to bet hard. The old man hits the deck 3 times in 18 million, and with that he is sold. At that moment some peculiar guys appear, right? Introducing themselves as Wang Shen and Qin Fen. The protagonist finds it a bit suspicious, doesn't he? What do these rich guys from Shanghai want with him? The blonde guy, who is Qin Fen, says he was the 8th bidder, and he wanted that watch. But apparently the guy really liked it. Was he an expert in luxury watches? Sam says he's not an expert, and he doesn't study. In fact, this is the first time I bought one, because I wanted to try something new. The guy says it's crazy. What kind of person buys a watch for 18 million for the first time? Such a person should have seen her before. Our guy says it's because he just arrived in Shanghai to go to college. The guy keeps praising him, saying that when he was 18, he wouldn't have had that kind of audacity. And then she tells our guy that they should go out together when they have more time in the future. Hey, this peculiar guy, huh? I don't know, you're being too nice. You know the world belongs to the crafty. So if you're not crafty, you're the fool. In this small talk, with the expenses of the watch, he leveled up in the system again and now earns 1 yuan per second. He knows that for many people that would be life-changing money. However, for him who wants to become a tycoon it was not so much. As he was going up the stairs, he notes to her, or Kong, whom he calls Zhao Zhao. Let's call her Zhao Zhao. It sounds better anyway. And the beast is all dressed up and recognizes him, saying that he is the boy from that night. He says that in fact, she was one of the best companions he has ever had. The night was wonderful, and he even got paid. She, however, grabs him, saying that she is angry. He thought he was helping a poor 18-year-old student, but apparently he has money. However, the beast is now attacking, putting his arm around his back, and saying that he is actually a student. He needs new lessons, and rented a villa in this area. Why don't you go there later? What is this? The girl has a little motor control problem with her tongue. And he says he drank a lot, and he's going to have to work hard. But at that moment someone tells Zhao Zhao to stay still. It's a guy named Chang Yu, who is her ex-fiancé. He says he's not going to do anything, but she just replies that what he does is none of her business. He grabs her by the arm, and it's the beta warning that no matter what, let it happen, they're getting married. Wow, but she's not that beta because she says there's no way she's going to marry someone who's been playing with her friend. However, he points a finger in her face and warns her that the engagement party has already happened, and the families agree. No matter what happens, she will be taken to the altar. But she says it sucks, and she just wants to use it as a front, while she goes out having fun with men and women. The guy decided to take advantage of 100% of the available population. At that moment, the system gives our guy 2 options. He can leave and receive a Ninja Turtle costume, or he can slap this guy twice. Earn the booster 3 times. Physical, and an unlucky card. Zhang Chen says he won't be a coward in this life. When the system says that this booster can improve things like speed, strength and resilience, it immediately gives the guy the first slap. He even farms a little aura by saying that the subject lost all rights when the betrayal. So the best thing is for him to get the hell out of there and give her another slap. What's up, protagonist? Are you going to crush the guy's skull? Don't worry, they're going to arrest you, man. In that he also gains 10% more friendship with the fierce girl. Meanwhile, the rest of the hotel staff arrives to take the boy who is all beaten up. He's calling the police because he was assaulted, but the hotel doesn't want to call any authorities. There are too many wealthy people here. That would just annoy everyone. This damn kid better keep quiet. Xiao Zhao tells our guy not to worry, that if he calls the police, she will say that that bastard was bothering her and provoke him. And that's why he did that. The fool, however, is there in the middle. I'm gonna call the police. They'll check the cameras and everyone here will pay. What is this? But in the background, there's a guy with a machete saying his fucking wife is cheating on him. Oh man, it's better to let him in because he's going to wipe everyone out. Now Shang Yu is on the ground begging to be forgiven. And boy, there's already one who got the first cut on the neck. In this the protagonist is given 2 options. The first option was to run away with Xiao Zhao and win 300 cash, nothing special. The second option was to arrest the criminal, earn 5 in appearance, and also to be a breast masser. Apparently, this is indeed the gigolo system, where he gains only skills related to making girls happier. The only reason the protagonist doesn't want to stop the crime is because he would be saving that Shang Yu. However, the most important thing is that you need this one. Skill. He immediately activates the booster card he got by slapping the guy. As he needed to stop a thief, he decides to put everything on strength and instantly feels his strangely strong muscles. When the guy approaches, he steps forward and gives him a direct punch in the mouth, sending him against the wall. both Xiao Xiao and Poor B. They are there impressed, wanting to know how he did that. Everyone at the party wants to know who the badass is who took that guy down in one fell swoop. The police officer even thanks our guy, saying that he is truly a hero. If he hadn't got involved, the situation could have been much worse. However, it's obvious that Shang Yu wants to suffer more in this life, right? He's going to report to the police that this guy hit him. He says that he has violent tendencies and that they should not be fooled. However, the officer turns to the people asking if that is true. And just then the fierce girl comes to ruin the CUCKOLD's life once and for all. She says that's not true. That this guy wanted to cheat on her, force a marriage, family problems. The officer is there as if saying, I get it, I get it. Meanwhile, the protagonist realizes that she really explained the whole story and thanks her, saying that he would never let Sang Yu do anything against him again. Then the officer warns that they are not there to discuss emotional situations. The crisis was solved. They're leaving. Sang Yu wants to insist, while the protagonist realizes that this bastard really does not give up and has no remorse whatsoever. He wants to check the cameras, and then he sees that unlucky card thing. Oh man, he's throwing bad luck at people. At that moment his phone rings, and he is informed that it seems that someone managed to withdraw 200,000 from his bank account. He immediately gets startled and says it wasn't him. Wherever he has gone, that money must be recovered. At this, a woman comes running and screaming desperately, saying that someone went to maneuver her car and crashed into a tree. What is this? The unlucky card is really violent. The boy runs out in a panic to see what's going on. Xiao Xiao finds it an amazing coincidence as the protagonist tells him that cruel people always suffer in this life. I would say that the honest ones suffer too. The world is unfair, my friend, unfortunately. Just because you walked into that room with that moon-shaped ass, you think everyone has that good life, damn it. And here she comes, right? He says his older sister will have to check if he was injured in that fight. And then ask if it bothers him. You know I have a fiancé like that. The protagonist says no. He's just surprised that the guy actually acts that way. She explains that her grandfather was extremely ill and that, in order to find peace, she had no choice but to marry this guy because his family had money. However, that's when she discovered that this guy also liked men and got involved with her friend. The protagonist tells her not to worry, that she doesn't need to suffer anymore. She finds it amazing that he doesn't really care about that relationship. Ah, why do you think he doesn't care, huh? What do you think he wants from you, my child? Then he pulls her to him and supports the beard. Billa, telling her not to worry, that he will take care of her. The next day, the poor maids had to fix up the whole room. And soon after, our guy was in the restaurant. One of his friends posted in the school group that it was his birthday, and he received a great watch. Our guy finds it interesting, and suddenly asks to borrow Xiao Xiao's legs for his birthday. She's a little confused, wanting to know if it's a birthday. He says not exactly, but just give me those legs, woman. She says it's okay. Then she starts posing like this, posing that way, posing over there. Oh my god, why did he step on the couch? I think the artist got a little carried away, my friend. Leave your personal preferences out of the story, please. The protagonist took pictures of everything, thinking that it's okay. At 18 he did not get a car, but the speed of this machine was incomparable. He sends it to the group of friends, and everyone is in shock. Wow, there are some guys there who got a house, another who got a car, one who got an RTX 5090. And they all preferred a woman. It's not for nothing, but a 5090 man is powerful. Soon after the car dealership arrives. Come on, damn it, show everything. She's already there, look here, there's that one, and there's that one over there. However, as always, there is a short bald old man with an attractive girl next to him, wanting to show that he has money. Even the girl hesitates, saying that buying such a car would be too serious. However, he says, girl, I'll pick you up every day when your recordings start, and you need to be comfortable. The short dress, however, says that it is not necessary. She just wants to be the protagonist in the story, and promises that she will work diligently. All this discussion is happening, while the protagonist arrives, listening to everything. He recognizes her as a beast named Su Wan, who in a few years, will become one of the goddesses of entertainment. Apparently it's a peculiar entertainment, right? Because she became famous for a series of photos by the pool. The little bird's nest is there saying you can choose the car you want. And then they'll go out for a drink. However, the girl seems to want to escape from the old man, saying that he has a meeting with the company and must leave. However, the guy with the Vegeta-style entrance warns her that she better go with him. Otherwise, the investment in it will not be made. And you should know that if she does not accept, she will still be deleted from the industry list. Wow. However, the girl is tough. He says that no matter what Mr. Wan says, he is not going to give in, and that he can do whatever he wants. Wow. That's weird, huh? He confronted the bald guy. The protagonist even activated a small mission there. Obviously, I had to get her out of the situation and get her to sign a contract. With that, I would receive special things. The protagonist knows that the easiest way was for her to realize that he had financial capacity. Then asked to take a look at the conditions for buying a Latterari. That must be the Ferrari, it can't be another one, right? The woman says that it is a limited model. He would have to go through several tests before becoming a VIP just to be able to buy it. He asks if she is not qualified, and she replies that if she really wants it, it is not impossible. He asks what the condition is and she says the waiting list is quite long. Most people don't want to leave their money there, so sometimes there are some places that he can kind of occupy. He says it's okay, he's there to buy it for cash. The girl opens her eyes wide. The old man is in shock, while the tall Suwan is already interested. Even that Chief Wan, who boasts of being rich, would not have such audacity. The woman tries to explain to him that maybe he doesn't understand the values. It's 50 million yuan, about $7 million. However, he only says that that was an acceptable amount. Suddenly, that Chin Fen appears again, saying that he heard that someone was about to buy a Latterari, and came to see who it was. I didn't imagine he was our boy. The protagonist is the aura creator of the money world, right? It's the Sun Jingwan of credit cards. He says matter-of-factly, yes, I arrived in Shanghai yesterday. I don't have a car, so I came to buy one here casually. Chin Fen is a little confused. Dude, coincidentally it's not. You're clearly showing off. Then the guy with the tie asks Chin if he is his friend, so that he says that he met Zhang Cheng yesterday. When he was buying an 18 million watch, you can really trust that you have money. The old man sees that he is wearing a big watch on his arm, and he is sure that at least he has cash. She already thanks the guy for choosing them, and says that with such a watch on her arm, money should not be a problem. Meanwhile, the old man looks at him out of the corner of his eye and this Sugwen is already restless. I have never seen a rich second generation spend so much money so naturally. Chinfen is sure. For the guy to be spending that much, he must have exceeded hundreds of millions or even more. Then the bald guy says, hey, stop looking at the guy over there. Go and sign that contract already. I will buy the car for you and you will be happy. However, she still refuses, saying that she has a certain meeting to attend. But then the old man comes out furious, saying that he is tired of talking to her. You better prepare to be on the blacklist of all companies. Before she could react, someone called her. Out of nowhere, he's the protagonist, right? Saying he overheard the conversation about that investment he lost. That you don't have to worry if the old man doesn't invest, he will. The poor thing is a little confused, isn't she? He doesn't even know who the guy is. I would be scared. At least, she is sure that financially this guy can stand up to President Wan. On the other hand, she is not willing to sleep with anyone. The poor girl says it, but she's all excited, jumping up asking for our guy's wetchet, saying they'll talk tomorrow. He says he is fine, and with that they exchanged contacts. So the protagonist wants to know when he will receive the car, and the old man says that it will take at least a year. That was the minimum. The silly Yang Cheng makes it clear that he is a poor guy who only made money. I had no idea that damn car would take so long. Now everything is crooked over there, realizing that he is going to get stranded. But in that, this Chin Fang, who still seems suspicious to me, says that there will be an exhibition of imported foreign brands, and that you can go together to see it. However, the scene changes to Ren's restaurant later that evening. Xiao arrived all dressed up looking like a Christmas present. Girl, why are you wearing so many random pieces of clothes? You look like an RPG doll. He brings it to the table, and in theory, it is the most expensive meal available. However, the tough guy says that the only thing he wants to eat is wrapped up there. She asks for a break, and suddenly gives him a kiss on the cheek. But at that moment, Zhang Chen shows his audacity. He sits down, and immediately talks about another woman wanting to know if he knows that Suwan. She tells Zhao Xiao that she is an artist who works at the same company as her. But does he like it? The protagonist says it's not that. He just sees potential in the girl. What do you think about her? Xiao Xiao, finally looking prettier from a more conservative angle, says that the company does not pay much attention to her, but that he has a good chance to develop. Oh wow. He even tells our guy that he doesn't need to hide it. If you like it, it can help you. It doesn't bother him. He, however, gently tells her to stop being silly. Besides, he wants to treat her well. Xiao Xiao wants to know if you plan to invest in that woman. He says yes. He wants to put some funds into his project. Xiao Xiao says that not only will he have to pay the penalty, but he will also have to create his own company. And as a good protagonist, he's already wanting to put Xiao Xiao to work and let her take care of everything. He knows that since he has enough money to sustain the company with the system, he just needs to put someone talented in charge, and everything will be fine. However, Zhao Zhao says he doesn't want to be a shareholder, no. He just wants a normal salary, and that's enough. She will only manage the operations. And then, however, he says that there is no way he is going to take care of everything and not receive shares. He will work hard and earn money. The poor thing, however, is like a fool, all emotional, thinking that he is an angel. While he is there with his emotions, his phone rings. It must be that Wang Wan calling the boy to action. And now it's the next day, the beast getting in the car. I pull that thing out of his ass and our guy is already asking where they're going. To the Lujiasui Hotel, and they are arriving at the restaurant. He asks what kind of story they were going to do if it was something big. She says it was an amazing drama, with a total investment of 5 million. The protagonist, however, does not seem very interested. 5 million wouldn't be enough to do something amazing today. She explains that it is a small production, and that costs have to be reduced. Besides, the most important thing was the story. She asks if he wants to take a look at the script, but he says no. He's just there to discuss investments. She finds it strange that he doesn't even want to see the script of the story, but he just says that he is interested in investing now. However, it has one condition. She would have to sign an exclusive contract with his company. She says that doesn't make sense. She was still a mediocre artist, and he would have to pay. The penalty? The protagonist says that's not a problem, but Suguan is already thinking, right, that what he wants is something else. She is not an innocent or silly girl in this world, and she knows very well that he wants to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Get an actress and a night partner. However, she shakes her head saying no way. He has remained faithful all these years, and he is not going to lose that now. Then you want to know what entertainment company you have. He says that he has not created it yet, but that it will be ready soon. In addition, she talked to Zhao Zhao, who revealed to her that she was not highly valued where she worked. Now the crafty one is all smiles, wanting to know what the requirements are. Specials. Friendship is at 50. The protagonist knows that 50 is basically the same as being strangers. If you ask her for the best she has, maybe she'll even accept. But it won't be because he wants to, which for him was not fun. So he tells her that if she is an artist of his company, he will not ask her to have any contact. Appropriate. Suddenly the girl is already too excited. With the friendship increasing, she wants to know if she can call him boss. He says boss is too much, and tells her to call him big brother. The conversation continues, and he completes the mission of hiring her, and with that, he receives 20% of the shares of an investment company already. The system says that he did all this legally, and that if he wants, he can even check the files. The madman still thinks that now at least he has a way to explain to his father how he became so rich. I think showing a document of what you bought doesn't explain much, but that's okay. However, he calls his father, tells him the little story, right? Who invested in that company, grew, and will now receive a monthly income of more than 600,000. The mother is there in the hoop, Jula, telling the old man to get ready, that the son is about to outgrow it. Meanwhile, the protagonist already wants to know if they want a small gift that he will take for both of them. However, it is now fashionable in stories for families to be kind and not ask for anything. In this, the protagonist invites Suguan out. Then she says she will go wherever Sugar Daddy wants. He says that he will only go to see some pieces, and with that they are in a watch store. The motto is, no one buys a luxury watch, just keeps it safe for the next generation. How naive the rich man is. Our guy gets there, and as always, there will be an old man with another attractive girl next to him who will pass the envy, right? It seems that someone recognized Miss Suwan, who says that she is accompanying a friend who came to look at the watches. However, the friend with a green ribbon on her head thinks she's a fool. There are countless handsome guys in the entertainment industry. I should not waste my time with such a guy, but look for a rich man. Oh girl, your stockings are torn, my child. Clearly your financial situation is not good. The crazy girl, the girl, has 78 friends from the past. What's up, warrior? Working overtime. Besides, he only has a 20% friendship with our guy. At this the old man asks Ru who this junior is. And she says that she is just a random girl participating in a little unknown drama. The guy, however, introduces himself as Wang Hai, and says he's an investor in the film industry, right? And that if she's interested, she just needs to take her card. Su Wang, however, knows that the girl in the background is an actress far below her. However, she does well in the industry because she uses other parts of her body to do that acting job. She just thanks the card to avoid the conversation and leaves. Meanwhile, the seller wants to know what kind of watch our guy is looking for. The protagonist is in the store to buy a watch for his mother. And the guy offers him one for 380,000 that he considers cheap when it costs at least 500,000. That Rue is just listening from the side, wanting to know what kind of person says a 380,001 is cheap. Meanwhile, Swan is next door, laughing at the suffering of the fool, who tried to humiliate her. The protagonist asks if Soo-won wants a watch, but she says no, she has no money to buy it. Huh? Obviously not. He said the perfect phrase for the system to give him the mission to buy a watch. In that, he already says that if he wants, he will buy her one as a gift. She says that by no means, that she prefers to earn the money and buy it herself. While the friend is watching from the outside, thinking that this girl is an idiot. Besides, this guy is trying to show off in front of everyone. He will probably look at several watches and leave without buying anything. In this, the saleswoman is there placing the watches on the wrist of our guy, who according to her looks really handsome. She fits it on her wrist, and he says it's perfect, he likes it tight. So this guy here is a real weirdo. Hey you, stranger. Put those jokes back and forth. The protagonist, however, notices that the friendship has grown. This one doesn't seem to be quite right in the head either. He tells the saleswoman to prepare both. The guy's in there a little bit in shock, right? The girl who has already defeated 6 football teams is scared. Apparently, the bastard really wasn't just showing off, and he did have money. Meanwhile, the protagonist also asks Soo-gwon to take a look at the women's watches he should choose to. The guy shows one all covered with brilliant diamonds for 150,000. The girl puts it on her wrist already all dazzled, and try to be humble and order one that costs 380,000. Even so, the protagonist already tells him to charge another one on the card, that he wants those too. She's there all excited, touching his wrist and thanking him, but saying he shouldn't be walking around with something so expensive. He tells her not to worry, that she will still make a lot of money for him. However, she still does not want to accept it, and says that it is better if she gives them both to her mother. But he says the one he wears on his wrist only fits a young woman. They'd laugh at her mom if she came out with something like that. He asks her if she's really going to reject him, and she's there not really knowing what to say, but she replies that it's okay. He really was a generous boss. Meanwhile, the guy already brings the card, saying that the payment has been approved. And that Rue was dying of rage. How could a dirty girl like Soo-gwon have a better watch than his on her wrist? Obviously the old man doubts, right? He asks for the model that he knows does not exist, and already leaves. He said it is a pity that he is not available, they will come back later. The saleswoman asks if Miss Lin Rue wants to leave a reservation, she wants to see another one. But obviously she doesn't have any money either. He just says they'll talk later. Meanwhile, the protagonist completes the mission by receiving a triple refund. Wow, the kid is really going to spend. They went to the handbag store, and it's the same, right? He came, took a look and said, I'll take it. Immediately the girl at the counter is all impressed. He says they are now VIP clients. The crafty one is shaking. But at night, they are arriving at the house of their Won, who obviously makes the invitation, right? Asking if he wants a glass of water. However, he plays the role, and says that it is dangerous to climb, that something could happen. Wow, and she really just left thanking him, while he was leaving. It was the villain's tactic, wasn't it? He said he wouldn't do it. And then she felt disappointed, wanting to know if he really wasn't interested. What is that, my girl? What position are you imagining, for God's sake? The artist, come on, calm down, buddy. This is not a gym floor. Do you think you're in the Olympics? When we get home, the maid is waiting for our boy, who as usual is swimming, while she holds the towel like a fool. She is impressed, because in all the years she has worked there, it is very rare for someone to take those VIP rooms for more than 2 days. However, it seems that he will stay there for a week. You will surely have to offer an impeccable service. Meanwhile, the protagonist wants to know what is unique and special about eating at that place. She says the hotel has Chinese, Italian, French, Japanese food, the best of the best. There was even a special goldfish with truffles from I don't know where. He thanks her, apparently he wants that, but he also asks for a massage, right? And here he comes, I'm already scared. This guy always in his underwear with little birds all crooked. And the poor guy now thought that the massage would be quiet, but gravity is getting to him. In addition, it seems that there were even aromatherapy things, and he is impressed. While the friend tells her to just sit down and relax. Apparently, the protagonist is confused, wanting to know if this is part of the package, or if something else is going on. Wow, I don't think I know how complete the service was, right? But she says she will wait for him tomorrow, because she will take him to the car meet. I really think it was something normal because he is there thinking that he let his imagination fly too much. The next day we're at a car event, and for the love of God, our protagonist is wearing the most horrible style I've ever seen on someone. What a terrible tie that is. And it seems that Chinfin, the clueless blonde friend of the protagonist, did not appear at the last moment. However, it's not like he needs that guy to spend money, so he's going to check everything out. The only problem is that the cars were a little below their expectations. The most expensive one so far cost 2.2 million. But then he sees a crowd gathered around a car and decides to take a look. However, when he arrives, what really catches his eye is Jo Jing, that girl on the plane. Wait, she wasn't the innocent class girl concentrating on studies. What are you doing there, girl? And there's obviously a simpa there, right? Wanting to know when her shift ends, saying he's taking her on a date. But the friend next to him tells him not to call her, because she thinks she's too good for everything there. Xu Jing is somewhat unsure how to respond. Meanwhile, the protagonist appears. Oh, they're his friends from school. And he wants to know which school reunion is that one that no one invited him to. One of the guys says he didn't think he would come, and the protagonist asks if he wasn't supposed to show up. In fact, one of them is thinking that they intentionally used another group so that he wouldn't find out. So what are you doing there? The guys are next door whispering about him, while the girls want to know what happened. It hasn't been long since he was last seen, but he already looks even more handsome. Did he come to Shanghai to have surgery? The poor guy mentions the green hair, and says that the guy looks better, but that he is still not compared to him. Yang laughs and just asks, right? What are they doing there if they came to buy a car? The girl in the clown dress says no way, like they have money for that. They just met some friends at the entrance, and came to take some pictures. This is because they found out that Chu Jin, who was a classmate, was there. So everyone got interested. Then the protagonist sees something impressive. Her recently graduated friend already had 30 friends from the past. Also, their friendship level was at 90, which meant it would be easy. The purple-haired friend only had 2 friends from the past, and her friendship level was 75. Wow, but he looks 85, holy cow. The metrics here are really messed up. I would say it's like a 60. Or maybe he's hiding something special, who knows. The protagonist, however, wants to know why those girls' friendship levels were so high. He didn't even like them or talk to them in class. The girl with the orange hair wants to know what she's thinking, what she's doing there, while our protagonist ignores everything and greets Chu Jin, telling her that she looks more beautiful than that day. She leans a little, wanting to know if he came to see the cars too. He says yes, he's looking to buy one. The friend next to him already tells him to wake up to reality. The one who was riding to school on an electric scooter talking about shopping, something like that. The guy starts mentioning the prices of several cars, and the protagonist congratulates him, right? Saying that the class president really knows about supercars. It's just a shame I didn't buy one. Wow, oh protagonist, that was ungrateful, wasn't it? I'd just throw the comment in his face like that. Even Xu Jing asks them to step away from there. Demons are interrupting the girls' work, they are causing a crowd to form, arguing. Or man, he suddenly puts his hand on his face, and says he came here to get a car. Because his family said it's a gift for getting a good grade on the college exam. She, a little weird, tells him to ask other women, because she doesn't understand anything about cars. However, the guy is unstoppable, right? He says he feels better learning everything with her. Yang tries to help the girl by saying, come on dude, she already said she doesn't understand, right man? Or are you just here to chat with the goddess? The boy tells Yang to stop meddling, that he too is making a nuisance of himself. But then the protagonist asks if, in case he buys the car, the model is included. Jo Jing laughs, telling him to stop telling jokes, and the friend says the same thing, right? As if I had the money to do that. Suddenly, his manager arrives and warns him that he does not earn 2,000 a day just to chat with a friend. Poor thing, she was scolded. The protagonist still says, wow, Shudong, you were talking to the girl, and you made her suffer at work. How irresponsible. Then the protagonist tells the seller that the car is not very good, but the model made it look nice, and he wants to know if she comes included. Immediately the boss looks at his watch, and tells the guy that the vehicle definitely comes with paint to protect the film. Don't know what the double entendre was here, but our guy says to just charge it to the card then. Friends from school want to know if he lost his mind, and is going to be embarrassed. As if I had 8 million to spend like that. And the body collector there, obviously, is already all excited and shaking. That Li Shudong tells Yang Chen to stop believing himself so much. He would end up embarrassing himself there and make Xu Jing lose his job. The protagonist, however, says that he is buying the car exactly for her, that she will be the one who benefits. And the boss agrees. If the guy really buys, the commission will go to Xu Jing. Wow, their friendship level is already at 82, right? Things are escalating fast. And Shudong wants to know if the guy is really going to try the legendary ups trick. My card is frozen, I'll call someone here. And disappear. The protagonist, however, only tells the boss to charge it to the card quickly because he is in a hurry. With that, the transaction is complete, and the guy is already praising the boy, saying that he will prepare the papers now and ask Shujin to take care of the boy. Shudong is confused. How did this guy suddenly drop 8 million like that? The boy with the green hair is incredulous. Apparently, the boy was keeping a low profile at school. And the other girl is already at 95 friendship. Soon she will have to go to the bathroom to change her clothes. She offers to get in the car, but the purple-haired guy says it's a two-seater, right? There's no room for her. However, the 95 girl says Cho-jin has to go back to work and sell more cars. The protagonist, however, tries to understand why his friendship with that girl keeps going up. She really was strange. And with that, he takes the opportunity to provoke her by saying that only Zhu Jing would look good in that car. Then the girl comments that she heard that the protagonist broke up with Zhao Jia. Apparently it was Zhu Jing who stole it from him. His plan now is to make sure they feel uncomfortable. Zhu Jing, however, seems interested in this information, right? She thought the protagonist was with that Zhao Jia. And Jang dodges the topic by saying that the breakup with Zhao Jia has nothing to do with dear Zhu Jing, although she admits that any guy would go crazy for her. So the friend notices his watch, right? And he says something's wrong. I was just pretending at school. The protagonist says that he was living a quiet life, but now that he finished school, his parents decided to reward him, and he couldn't resist. So Judong tells the group that they better leave, right? There's nothing else to see there. However, the naughty girl insists, right? The one in 95 inviting him to dinner later. The protagonist refuses and says that they can talk later when he is in Hongqing. She gets excited saying that he has her number, and he just needs to call. Apparently it's the city where I used to live, right? Which I probably should never go back to. The protagonist, however, tells Chu Jin to go back to work, to have a look around. She thanks him, while he asks her not to be so polite, because they are still classmates. Suddenly he passes by a red car, and the other girl is very interested, and wants to sell too. How so? The boy already imagines himself inside with Zhao Zhao. It really is strange. This guy too, I say, has a peculiar soul. The woman explains that the price there was 9.5 million, but she starts using some sales tactics, saying that she will get I do not know how many years of maintenance whatever. But he simply tells her to charge it to the card. On top of that, you want a handover ceremony, right? He's probably going to send it to Zhao Zhao in some amazing way. The woman says that's the least of it. Of course, you can choose everything you want. And the delivery will be exactly as he plans. While the two are talking, suddenly there is a girl doing a small transmission in the car. She says that something bright in that red really exudes feminine charm and asks if any of the brothers in the live are interested in buying it. The guys in the live show say that the car is not so nice, but she insists that any girl who receives it will fall in love. Out of nowhere, she puts our guy on her broadcast, saying they can trust him. This guy bought it, and it will definitely do well. If he gets 3,000 likes, he will do an interview with him, and he will share what he thinks about the car. However, the saleswoman comes up to ask, right, whether she is there to shop or just to annoy. Poor thing got scolded, and she's all confused, isn't she? But I just came to take a look, what's the matter? The saleswoman then asks him not to come so close or to prove that he has enough funds to buy the car. The girl is a little confused, saying that she saw this guy get in the car and everything, and the woman explains really that she bought it for that. In the live, the poor guys feel sorry for the clown makeup, while Chu Jing is there thinking that he can't believe that the protagonist actually spent 20 million like that, out of nowhere. 2 hours later, our protagonist stretches out. Finally, all the papers were signed, and the guy is handing over the keys. The system, however, had even chosen his badge. Immediately the guy arrives there delivering the plate, they install it, and even the saleswoman is a little confused. In shock because the badge still had the initials GC on it, right? Zhang Qing. The bastard had money and influence. The protagonist says it was nothing special. I had booked that badge well in advance, and that's it. However, the seller did not like that. He knows this guy is trying to hide his influences and thinks he's an idiot. But he replies that it really is amazing that he planned it in advance. Then the guy in a strange position calls the protagonist and says that everything is ready, while the boss is still trying to understand who this guy is, what family he belongs to. A few minutes later, Joe gets there, right? Thanking our boy for today. Since you met by chance and she's getting off work, how about a dinner? He was about to accept when suddenly he gets a call. It's the friend with the green hair saying he was dumped. and that if she doesn't come talk to him now and take care of him, she's going to jump in the river right now and die. The protagonist is a little confused. Out of nowhere, this crazy guy is calling. Hell, he was nice to the friend, too. He said they will have that meeting for drinks and something to eat later. You will have to help a friend. She, a little embarrassed, said it's okay. He always thought that the boy with the green hair was liked by someone named Shuya. Sometime later, the protagonist arrives at the bar and asks if the bastard still wants to jump into the river. Dude, tell him to shut up and sit down so they can talk. Then he says, I found out that I'm a simple man, can you believe it? I feel really bad. She was always bossing me around, but I thought she liked me. However, as soon as Li Shudong paid a little attention to him, he left me. The protagonist tells him to explain what happened, and he says he followed those two. Then he saw them kissing, and doing a lot of things that broke his heart. Oh my god, there's nothing left for the beta. The protagonist says they didn't even start anything properly, right? Because his heart hurt so much. The boy keeps crying, but the protagonist says that it's better if he doesn't come closer. I think it's that girl who was already close to 95. That's because poor Shudong is going to catch a disease. Wow, the protagonist went far with that. The friend asks him to explain, and our guy reveals that it seems that his life was a mess. All he's going to tell his friend is that he got rid of a bomb. The friend says that he understands, thanks him for the comfort, and they toast. A while later, he is taking a taxi. The protagonist is sitting there to send a message in a car, when suddenly a certain Chen Li appears, 65 partners, right? The artist already wants to launch the record of 1,000 in one day. And the girl says that's her boyfriend's car, so she better take her hand off and walk away. Or you will have to pay for the damages. However, suddenly, when she looks at him closely, out of nowhere, she is a little confused. She says she's drunk, and he looks a lot like her boyfriend. I think that's a seduction technique, right? The protagonist, however, responds harshly, saying that she instead does not look anything like his girlfriend. Wow, but this girl is in such despair that I think she wants to steal her kidney, that's for sure. Out of the blue, he says that he plays pub, and that he knows 10 different ways to win the game. Do you by any chance want to play a game with her? The protagonist doesn't seem very interested, he just says he prefers Honor of Kings, right? It must be another game. With that comes the streamer, asking if he is the one who requested someone to drive. He says yes. How so? Capitalism didn't work there, huh? She says she works as a streamer, but in her free time, she plays a real driver or to earn some extra money. And she's not even Uber, she's as a designated driver, she just drives your car for you. And right there she is, right, saying in the live that she is impressed, that she never imagined that she would find a Ferrari CF90 there. Already stretching. Throwing himself on the hood, while the strange PVG girl says she can drive really well too. The protagonist, however, says that he does not like anything for free in this life, it usually brings complications. However, what he wants to know is if the capitalist streamer works hard, you know, half a pity. If he really knows how to drive a supercar. And she tells him not to worry, that she once had an automotive review blog, and has driven several sports cars. Dude, this girl is giving everything to survive. Someone help this poor girl. And that's it. 0 couples in the past. I'm sure the protagonist is going to go crazy. Name, Xiao Jingjin. Already in the car, she asks if she can do a transmission, and the protagonist says it's okay, right? But what if he really works like this every day? She explains that she doesn't always do direct, but she's usually driving back and forth anyway. At that, he already places the car to record himself, and starts to accelerate. The protagonist then sees that his name in the live is Xiaomai. And she thinks it's awesome that she has 0 partners in the past. Anyone who saw her would think she was the easy type. And in that he sees that in his live the biggest donor only donated 300. And that it was pathetic. Then he asks her, right? You are there with more than 10,000 views, and no one donates. Now that explains why you have to work and drive, right? It would be easier for you to concentrate only on driving, since those direct ones are not giving anything. Wow. But then he wanted to make fun of the poor girl, he said, you're broke, you don't earn anything. Wow, you're a fan. Do you as a woman not even using your body make money? What can the poor girl do, right? She says she's not good at getting donations. I'd say you're exposing everything you have at stake there, but hey, right. It apparently attracted an audience that was weak on money. We speed up, we are getting home, she returns the keys and our guy. He says he's really skilled at driving. Everything was very comfortable and quiet, and she just thanks you by asking for a good review. Also, I wanted to know what kind of broadcast you like to watch. He says he only sees the wonderful ones and she asks, right, if she counts as a wonderful. If so, maybe I could show a little of support to this poor thing, give her a little boost in her ranking. He replies that he doesn't know if he has that much money in his account. She however says that if she wants, he can invite her for a drink. Wow, but it was not at 0, and it is offered like that. What's going on here? The protagonist seems to understand that she is creating as a drama in her live. She probably wanted him to pay the bills and make some donations, and she would leave, right? Doing nothing. But for him, she was walking like a sheep towards the tiger's cage. And in that he already asks what kind of water he is interested in. She remembers that that sounds like a normal conversation of a certain kind of story. And you're imagining weird things there, aren't you? Clearly he would be the type to like this video, guys. We're done here. Another money spender. I think I have covered almost all the works of this genre now. They are so good to narrate, it's so nice, easy, calm. From time to time, we get tired of drama, we think too much, and these are the best for when you just want to relax and have a little laugh. The good part is that she's pitching, right? The bad part is that since he's pitching, I've already covered all the chapters and there's nothing left. So we'll have to wait for the next part to arrive, and so that you don't miss it, active. I don't know, I'm leaving. Take care, guys.